This is a D&D horror story from a player. Backseat that guy makes me vroom out of campaign. Holy dooly, what an opener. Hey everyone, just want to thank you for taking time out of your day to read through my rant. Just some disclaimers, the story is pretty mild in comparison to others. There's no violence or any other harmage, thank God. There could arguably be themes of ableism down the road, but it's minor. This post will also be fairly lengthy, so I understand if it turns some readers off. At the end of the day, this is a way for me to vent, nothing more. It's happened 3 years ago, and likely all involved have grown. I just wanted to get some closure and move on. Seeing this as an event, I imagine there'll be segments where I come off as whiny, petty, or an arsehole, and I understand I do not see myself as a damsel and do nothing wrong. I just believe I deserve better than what I got. Good start. The main characters of this shit show are myself, DM, Blade, Nova, and our antagonist, Morty. The story begins about 3 months after Morty joined the session. He and the DM are close friends in real life, so you can probably guess why he let a lot of this shit happen. At the time, I was still a new player, learning ttrpgs. I had a good grasp on the rules, but there were certain concepts I struggled to understand, and this was the crux of a lot of problems this player had with me. Morty was a min-maxer, and the DM prided himself in running harder campaigns. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Act 1. The lawful/stupid menace. My problems didn't begin until my second character. He was a sorcerer who used a magic more irresponsibly than other casters. I was still learning how to properly roleplay from a team perspective, meaning he did a bunch of shit that wasn't the most friendly to the party's reputation, like casting darkness spell to escape guards chasing him. Now this came in contrast with Morty's character. He played a no-nonsense, lawful, neutral, magic should be used responsibly character, so our characters had some issues. I welcome the rivalry between the two characters. In Morty's defense, he apologized after each session because of how mean his character was to mine, and to be fair, my sorcerer was annoying. Okay. So what's the problem? I tried playing a whimsical cinnamon roll archetype, but I overplayed the whimsical bit. Okay. Blade grew concerned the more our characters clashed, and when we were alone in chat, he often apologized for Morty's behavior. He'd tell me how Morty can be rough around the edges, and how he never meant any ill intent. And I believed it. Shit happens, I was new. It was all well and good until it started affecting me mechanically. When we got ambushed in our sleep, Morty's character woke up everyone except mine. Blade came to my rescue, but I didn't want this in-game hatred to cost me a new character. I had always wanted to play a tiefling, and I really enjoyed running around. I really enjoyed running this annoying shithead. And if the shoe was on the other foot, my PC would have set his grievances aside and helped his character. So I hit him up and asked him if he could not endanger my character like that. I expected a sure, no problem, but got paragraphs explaining why his character did what he did. You know, the classic, it's what my character would do spiel. I stood my ground though. D&D is a game where everyone's enjoyment is the goal, and I explained how our rivalry was more than fine as long as it didn't risk losing my character. He agreed to stop, but after I got this response. You know, it's really shitty that I have to change how I have to roleplay over this. He's not wrong. So far, Morty doesn't seem wrong at all. He's like apologized about the way he's been mean in character, but he's just acting in character, and you're acting in character, and it's leading to a bad place, so you should probably both stop, and you are not willing to stop. And so like he doesn't want to then alter how he's playing either. Kind of both at fault here. The next session sucked. Every time my character opened his mouth, Morty's character retaliated. We met a tabaxi, and my 20 charisma character couldn't even roleplay without his lawful stupid tyrant interrupting and belittling him. Okay, that's bad. And for the record, it was much worse than prior sessions. It got to the point where I felt worried just to speak, let alone use a skill or cast a spell. I figured he was still upset about our earlier conversation, so I gave him the not feeling it excuse and left early. The DM later summoned me to the chat. I voiced my grievances with Morty's shitty character. Okay, his character's not that bad actually. And he voices grievances with my character's antics. However, it turns out the DM and Morty have been going back and forth about how to make this work. So he tells me that our characters are so contrary that if it wasn't a D&D group, his character would try and kill me. I've been trying to get the DM to make it work somehow, only to be told, you don't have to play someone like this. I was never hit up by Morty to discuss the issues because he didn't tell me that my new character wasn't going to work. Collapse in communication in different games. Exactly. Sounds like it was time to call for a session 0 mid-campaign. Yep. Sounds like they need a regroup, which it seems like they tried to sort of do, but then both the players were just not budging on their stance of this is my character, this is how I want to play them, and I'm not changing for you, so fuck you. Anyway, looking back, the issue wasn't that our characters couldn't get along. That's bullshit. You can easily give some in-game reasons for them to tolerate one another. The DM called Morty out on not even trying to relate to my character since Morty kept sending him notes on how he ignored everything my character said. The issue was that Morty didn't want to compromise his character at all. Yeah, and it sounds like you didn't want to compromise your character either. I've had several in-character rivalries after writing this, and none have made me feel this uncomfortable. And when they got to me, me and the player always managed to form a solution, whether it be toning down some unlikable traits, making bickering less frequent, or even having character apologize for something to demonstrate growth. Morty didn't want to do any of this. I can validate why he didn't care. He made his character a month before mine, and he had grown accustomed to playing him this way. And I can't emphasize, because even though my character was annoying, I had the foresight not to let it ruin another player's fun. Well, not intentionally, at least. Yeah, so you're ruining his fun, and then blaming him for ruining your fun because you're ruining his fun. So, DM was spot on, and I wish I said more. Keep beef in character and stop from bleeding out of character. It's very hard to do. At the end, we agreed to tone down both of our characters for the sake of the party, and the rest of the campaign went smoothly until we hit a TPK, and I wish it ended there. See? You both were like, let's just both carve it down a bit, and it worked. That's what happens when you get people who just aren't willing to compromise at all, in the slightest. They're like, you should compromise. It's like, well, why? Why can't you compromise? Because I asked you to. Fucking stupid. Alright, Act 2. Read, damn it. So about 2 months later, we all have new characters and are in a new world. This is my first time playing someone with a polearm. So learning reach rules and how the weapon interacted gave me a bit of trouble at first, but it came to a head where the party practically begged me to take the Sentinel feat. Polearm Sentinel Master, okay. Excuse my sniffle. Excuse my cough. Now, the DM can be very antagonistic when running encounters. He doesn't like in-game strategizing while in combat, and he doesn't like metagaming. Same. Well, not a lot, but a little bit is okay. The reason one of my characters died was because he didn't know about trolls regenerating, and when the blade tried to scorch his ass, the DM proclaimed, "Why would your character know that?" I, as a DM, would have allowed the nature check, but shit happens. It only became a problem when the party subtly setting up a method for Sentinel and Polearm Master to trigger, and I missed the cue. DM ruled that I missed my chance, and berated anyone who tried to help me. All because I misread the attack of opportunity rulings. Whoops. Well, I got an uninvited DM from Morty, proclaiming how frustrating it is I didn't read my abilities. I bucked back, told him I did read them, made a mistake, and told him that it's frustrating to be provoked like this. Sadly, it only got worse from there. I tried to cast Hold Person on the Gnoll boss after learning that the Gnolls were humanoid. Turns out the homebrew monster wasn't a humanoid, and the DM wouldn't let me take it back. I probably should have asked before casting. The DM had gotten on the players for asking questions in the middle of combat. Okay, that's kind of dumb. DM shouldn't be getting on your case like that at all. Here comes Morty making an announcement to the party that some players should read their abilities. I shot back, telling him that I didn't know the Gnoll boss wasn't humanoid, and another player stood up for me. But I took the criticism to heart. Loving the campaign, I wanted to be the best player I could. I had fear of becoming that guy. I looked up YouTube videos on how to be a better player, and always asked for feedback from the group since I felt bad about my earlier mistakes, and that set me to Morty's to be Morty's whipping boy. Like it or not, I saw Morty as a veteran. He had played a lot more ttrpgs than me, knew the rules front to back, and always had snide remarks if God forbid I get something wrong. He was a backseat gamer by design, and writing this fills me with anger at how the DM did nothing to stop him. Yeah, that sucks. And if the vet got upset for whatever reason, guess who got targeted? Blade, and sometimes the DM always went after him at least, but my confidence was failing. I stood up for myself a great deal so far, but that was about to change. Alright, here we go. Act 3, one shot killed. So we ran a campaign, relevant one shot later down the line. We all picked a class that sounded cool. I picked Rogue for that very reason, and I got a level 7 Arcane Trickster PC. Now here's the best part. I had 10 minutes to learn what this guy did. DM wanted this to be a surprise and prides himself at keeping things mysterious. He normally does a good job at making twists stick until that session. At the time, my therapist believed that I might have been on the autism spectrum. I never got diagnosed, but when your therapist, your mother, your clinical psychology professor, and a club director of the group for autistic people believe you might be on the spectrum, you might just be on the spectrum. Maybe. Could just be weird. Why does this matter? Well, the people on the spectrum need to contend with being overstimulated. Whenever a lot of stuff is happening at once, they may it be hundreds of people screaming, lights flashing, loud music, and so on. We become very uncomfortable. If you get too uncomfortable, the risk either shutting down or melting down. This is relevant because I had to learn not just the rogue class features, but also her spells in less than 10 minutes. You could just have the character sheet open. You don't have to learn everything. I did bring my potential autism to the group. Didn't change much. I didn't blame anyone. Yep. Because there's probably other people on the spectrum or worse in the group by the sounds of things. I didn't understand what having autism meant despite working towards a bachelor's in psychology. I still struggle to pin it down with a master's in counseling. If only I had a few days to prepare, I could have researched how the Arcane Trickster played. I'm still that guy who pursues through lengthy class guides. Peruses through lengthy class guides for Pathfinder, and frankly, learning a class in 10 minutes, especially a mid-level character, isn't enough time for people even without autism. True. If already Morty is giving me shit because I was trying to sneak attack someone I was flanking, to his credit, everyone tried to help me understand, and it just wasn't clicking. Now here's what's hilarious. Want to know why it didn't click? Because I was using sneak attack properly the whole time. According to Morty, you couldn't sneak attack if you just had advantage. Yes, you can. A PC had to be within 5 feet of you. No, they don't. What he forgot was the or clause saying you could do it with advantage. Steady aim was released by Tasha's just to give rogues advantage since they couldn't flank without taking crossbow expert and going melee. And with us using the flanking rules from DMG, I couldn't cross sneak attack because Morty didn't know what he was talking about. And if I had confidence I do today, I would likely have questioned how much he actually knew about the game, but I didn't. And I wound up shutting down, and I just didn't attack. I stayed out of the way because I was paranoid. Did that spare me? No, it didn't. Morty sent me snide PMs throughout the game. Fuck this guy. Stop fucking DMing people in the middle of the game, you dickhead. I told him to quit it, and eventually ignored him altogether. At the end of the game, he got verbally aggressive. His insults weren't even subtle. It was obvious he was being passive-aggressive towards me. Everyone just let it happen. DM didn't tell him to quit, and I think that everyone was just too swept up to notice. I tried to talk to him after the session, but he was too irate. He had such a bad game after all, bullying me and having to use yet another wizard, and the conversation ended with, okay, I'm about to say something mean, so I'm gonna leave. We can deal with this later. Nice. Imagine being that tilted over a one-shot that we won. I proceeded to PM the DM about everything that was going on, about him harassing me, about his shitty attitude, and about his ruining the game for me. And what did the DM do? Nothing. He didn't respond. He never addressed it, as if I never PM'd. I waited all of next week for him to say something. I genuinely hoped that he forgot or didn't see the message, but now I believe he just ignored it or had a small talk with Morty that amounted to a slap on the wrist. DM had a ghosting pattern where it felt like if he had nothing to say or it didn't feel like it was worth discussing, he wouldn't respond. It isn't like talking to players is a very big part of being a DM or anything. Yeah. So I had to determine if putting up with this shithead was worth it. Sadly, I love my character so much that I wound up apologizing for not being attentive to why. I decided my PC story was too much for me to pass up for one shithead, and that I honestly should have just blocked. I hope that this would get him off my ass once and for all. I should have left the game there. Ah, rules lawyer who does not do the rules. That might be reflecting old rules and new rules. Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of people that are like that, but they're not assholes about it. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a rule. And we're like, no, I think I've read it this way. And then we all look it up together, and we're all like, oh, that was like 3.5. Oh, okay, yeah, we're good. And then we all like just get back to it. Like, it's not a big deal. Okay, Act 4, the DM Empire Strikes Back. Oh my god, that's a great pun. All right, fast forward 6 weeks. Morty and I haven't had issues. Dope. We're cooperating. Dope. I'm shooting him DMs in combat to plot out strategies. Dope. All's going well. Around this time, picked up our 5th player, Nova, who was a friend of Blade's. He and I are hitting it off. However, trouble happened when he grew uncomfortable with his character. He was playing a Calisthar, a race of people who are heavily drawn to play pacifists and nice to others' alignments. This isn't entirely true, but I'm guessing he got the idea from how they walk the path of light from Eberron and based his character around it. According to Nova, playing this character was bringing up past traumas of him being exploited, being a people pleaser, and felt that it was hurting him to play her. That's fair enough. Apparently DM had told Nova that he would kick any player who committed suicide on their character out of boredom. That's fair enough too, and was strongly opposed to people changing their characters. Yeah, that's okay. I never heard the conversation firsthand. I just knew that he was deathly afraid of having to leave the campaign over wanting to play someone else. Just don't, like, you can just change the way your character acts. You don't have to completely change your character, right? I learned about this after my character signed the pact with Mephistopheles, because Nova had hoped that my character would refuse, so his Calisthar would die trying to kill Mephistopheles. It's ironic because Nova almost died until my PC specifically begged his granddaddy Devil Lord to spare her, since she was better than he'll ever be. My character signed the pact of the Archdevil, exploiting his flaw, though I had been told beforehand his Calisthar would be ashes. Anyone else picking up on a pattern? After some failed negotiations with Nova to redefine his character, the party just suddenly decided to kill the imp that had become Nova's familiar. No real reason, we just wanted Buzz dead. He was a little shit, let's be fair. Okay, now you're being an asshole. And in the most unstable, uncoordinated, and scrambled about way, we killed the imp, which led to the Calisthar being sent to hell for not protecting him. Okay, I want to believe that the DM let us have this. Maybe he had an idea Nova was uncomfortable, maybe he realized that he was being a dick. Maybe, yeah. Maybe just realized how much he wasn't enjoying it. Later on, we meet a character related to another player's backstory. He was the son of the character had abandoned. Okay, and he was DM's. Oh, wait for it. His DM PC. Oh, okay. He was a variant human, banned race for us, with fighter rogue multiclass. We needed a really good reason to multiclass. And he had stealth so high that we'd need a nat 20 in perception proficiency just to have a chance of finding him. With his elven cloak and being level 10 while we were level 6, he had a plus 20 mod to his stealth, and sharpshooter, and action surge, and souped up bow. His name was Fen. I hate Fen. He had a plus 20. 10. Seems a bit... Okay. Fen proceeds to stalk our party through their travels because of my PC. Now a devil made a pact with the bad guy. We could not shake him. No one had expertise in perception, and the max wisdom stat to boot. The only reason anyone saw him when he shot messages at the party about my character being a devil. Okay. Or when Char rolled a nat 20 and found him. I think that's supposed to be like... Or when a character, I guess, rolled nat 20 and found him. Only for him to convince the character not to say anything to the party. So for story reasons, he didn't like my character. Fair enough. It didn't become a problem until 2 months later in the worst encounter I have ever played. A giant mech approached the party looking for my character. Despite his circlet of humanity that hid his true form, said mech knew who I was. Okay, so we all fight, are about to win before the DM cheats. He forgot to ask the gnome fighter to roll a charisma save. His sword had an effect where it made you flee if you fail, and made him roll it 2 turns later. He fails, and we immediately start losing. This is cheating, because this is the same DM who would not let people help each other in combat, who would not let you recast a spell or make his enemies reroll a save because you forgot to call it. Who would question your character knowing any information he didn't agree with? Remember that whole person debacle from earlier? Remember how he punished me for not knowing when to call Sentinel? I'm not going to deny it was a mistake, and I'm sure as hell should have called him out on that. But at this point, I started to see the DM as God moding. Oh, but it gets better. Yo, Captain Jules, what up? Oh, we're reading a D&D horror story right now. Hold on, we're about halfway through. The new D&D books are ddbeyond.com. They're not out yet. Don't come out till like September. But you can go to YouTube, and then you can go to the D&D YouTube page, and then you can look at the 1 hour deep dive that they did, and then you can look at the other couple of videos they've got up, and you can learn a bunch of stuff. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We did talk about it earlier in stream already, so yes. Alright, so here we go. It gets better. So Blade's new character chose to betray the party, and my character and Nova's fled. Between sessions, Nova and I decided that my character would go down in a blaze of glory saving his friends. The only reason why he signed the pact was because of a bond that puts his companions above all else. Seeing as how he's literally a devil, I figured this would be where he met his end. He would kill the traitorous PC who chose to doff his armor after the fight. Read that next line again before continuing. He would kill the traitorous PC who chose to doff his armor before the fight. Oh, after the fight. Okay. The encounter starts before my character can attack the paladin. Blade has his armor back on. What? No, he took it off last session. I don't think it's fair for his character to not have armor if you're attacking him, but it's okay if he betrays us. He has his armor on. I groan and fire a scorching ray from the shadows, and most of them now miss. And then Fen appears out of nowhere and starts shooting at my character. His dad is in the mech's grasp, and I'm the threat for attacking a backstabbing paladin. And then the mech drops said PC, holds a blade to his father's throat, threatens to kill him if my PC doesn't surrender. Okay, so hear me out. The land where we're at is very devil-phobic. Okay, tieflings are locked into asylum, killed and hated more than ever. Oh, cool, so it's racist. Alright, great. A devil and the epitome of narcissism, sadism, lies, and exploitation. Now forgive me if I'm being a sore loser, but assuming this mech, or whoever powered it, knew about all devils, why the would he would he know to hold my PC's friend at sword point? Yeah, the not metagaming monster threatened to kill my PC's friend if he didn't surrender. Why would a devil surrender and not fly away? A devil would keep shooting and or let his friends die. They're evil. They sacrifice allies every day before breakfast. There could be some in-law reason as to why this happens, or some very convenient circumstance where my character has to be discriminated and receive all the negative of being a fiend, and has people who just know how to exploit this devotion to his friends. But I'm going to assume the DM had his mech metagame, that thing he'd pitch a fit for in the past. That's not mentioning how the monster tracked us down when we had amulets of non-detection on. Maybe it had true sight. I asked the DM about it after session. No response. Good job, DM. Way to sow mistrust in your players. This bot apparently was being piloted by a wizard, and even with true sight, it makes no sense how he'd know my character's personal flaw. We had these amulets on for the past 5 months. So Hein's dilemma struck my character. His bond was friends above all, and so I was struggling to make my move because of it. Okay, your character is frozen. So frozen that they lose their turn. What? You're not even going to give me a warning or heads up that I'm running out of time? Nope. It's story reasons, trust me. What? That's bullshit. You can at least give me a warning. You lose your turn. Yeah, just leave. Just leave. Just be like, okay, I'm going home. Like, now scroll up to that part where the player gave where he gave a player his armor back on. If he had told me to hurry up, that would have been fair, but he had never done this to any other player in the game. It wasn't like I was paying attention or anything either. What's worse is that no one else seemed to find it unfair, so I kept my mouth shut about my frustrations. My character wound up getting captured and I had to make a new one thanks to the DMPC. I never held Blade in ill repute though. We are still cool to this day. When I tried to discuss my complaints with the GM, he told me he had a plan for my character and to trust him. I should have left. Yes, you should have left. I rolled a dwarf and the DM was concerned about how it would fit in. I came up with an espionage story about how he joins the party to learn more about fiendish activity going on in the Empire the characters were in. It was a lot of fun having to play a secretive gentleman. I remember one time where I, out of game, had a Freudian slip and had to make a wisdom save to catch myself. But generally fun and I was making the most out of it. All in all, I had a good time hiding my secret identity from the party, I guess. DMPC told the party that he was a spy the fourth session after he was introduced. Yeah, DMPC is an investigator who, without any evidence, just discerned my character's identity with no clues other than him being a dwarf in a human city. It's one thing to be suspicious, it's another thing to guess his entire backstory. But hey, this DM doesn't have to follow the rules. He'd get upset at us for not following. No wonder he was so good at RPing devils. Oh man. The DM is being a dick. That's what you missed, dudes. He's railroading a bunch of characters. All good though, because apparently Fen wants to rescue my character after helping the mech monster capture him. What? So the DMPC helped the mech capture this player and now he wants the character back again? Turns out he needed my character captured to track a diabolic cult hiding within the city. Turns out some archwizard with political power was a diabolist. Now, if DM told me about this beforehand, his capture would have been a lot more fair. But this is just a guy who'll modify your backstory without telling you, then get mad at you for not paying attention to your character sheet. He would try to be mysterious on a lot of things, then get flabbergasted when we as humans didn't read his mind. Apparently, Orenfield was not my hometown. It was something completely different. He, of course, had surprised Pikachu face when my character had no desire to return to it when it came up. Yep. By the time we infiltrated the dungeon, it was too late. They'd killed my PC. They apparently siphoned his magic out through a ritual. Well, if you know how devils work, they respawn in hell. Where he got lectured by Mistopheles for getting captured and ported back out. That was cool. What wasn't cool is the DM recounting how the past week was delirious for my character as he went into gruesome detail about how he was brutally tortured. He even went out of his way to find a picture of a character covered in blood to show us just how bad it was. Okay, that's dumb. And when he revived Morty's new lawful stupid original character tried to kill him again, with the traitorous paladin doing little to stop him until later. I could have literally incinerated Morty's character. He had 2 HP, but then he'd get shot to hell by everyone else. Then I would have been blamed. True. Worst part about this was that I still kept my grievances to myself. That session even today makes me sick, but told the DM that his plan was awesome to not rock the boat. Why? This part is on me as much as I despise admitting it. I now ask my new DMs to warn me before brutally torturing my PCs. Learning veils and limits is fun. Yeah? I mean... Okay. Act 5. Return of that guys. I left shortly after. Finally. My dwarf PC got captured because of a coup that failed, and my other PC can't be in the party because of the traitorous paladin, and Morty's new PC don't trust him. The straw that broke Camel's back was that the DM demanded I still attend sessions despite not being able to play. What? He claimed that it's unfair to the other players to have to recap on stuff I missed. No, it isn't. He also refused to let me play a temp PC because it wouldn't make sense for the story right now. To all new DMs, this is bullshit. Yeah. Could have let me pilot his DM PC. He could have let me RP his other NPCs party encounter. He could have let my capture PC have some screen time. Much like Morty's first PC, we could have worked something out. He just didn't want to. I don't deny the consequences should happen, but as a DM, there's always... Yeah, but the consequences aren't from you. The consequences are from the DM just making shit up. So it's kind of dumb. It's always something that can be tinkered with. We are gods, even if we have no way to make a temp PC work. It's absurd to expect a player to dedicate 4 hours of his time sitting there doing jack shit. I did this for one session before getting frustrated. The irony of this argument was that I played Final Fantasy XIV to keep myself entertained, and while I did pay attention, I would have had better focus by actually interacting with the game. Yeah. When one of the PCs got on screen, DM controlled him because he couldn't bother to tell me what transpired before the session, and figured he'd RP some more accordingly. Okay. I called him out and he gave me control near the end of the session. This was the devil PC, so he had to flee the country. Sadly, he, in character, only knew of the Elf Kingdom and didn't know that it recently got destroyed by a devil fighting a dragon. So when he told the party he'd fly there, Morty had a meltdown. Oh my god, I'm so sick of you. I hope he loses his character. This is where I should have left. You should have left like ages ago. No one said anything because Morty had been a shit mood all session despite being able to actually play. So it was accepted when he got like this. It was best to just ignore him. Only Blade called him out. I wish I'd called him. I wish I'd called for him to be booted right then and there. After this session, the man-child suffering from his PMS, like, okay, that's dumb, explodes at me, telling me that I was ruining the game, that how I RP'd my character was wrong. Okay. How everything that happened was my fault. Not true. But it called him out again. I then learned that no one had been having fun for the past 5 sessions. Apparently they had been a slog for the party, and they felt like they had no control over anything they could do. Anyone who brought their concerns to the DM were promptly told, I know, it's part of the story, just wait. Yeah, that's all this is on the DM right now. It was the same bullshit I got earlier. To this day, I don't know if I was blamed for everything by the adult players, but it wouldn't surprise me if I got scapegoated because of the DM's refusal to adjust his game. Yep, that seems kind of like what's happening. Mustering some courage, I confronted the DM and told him that I'm not going to any more sessions if I'm not going to be playing. I told him that it was unfair to me, that I had other obligations I could be attending to. He basically told me it's unreasonable for the party to accept a new PC. The stakes are too high. You'd need to tough it out. What? This was after his spiel about me being so ungrateful considering everything he had done for my character. Done to your character? What? Okay. It was like I owed him for him fangasming about the runes carved into his skin as he screamed before finally getting his throat cut. Between DM being uncaring and Morty being a jackass, I finally left. I told everyone that the campaign was giving me mental issues and I could no longer participate. In hindsight, I could have pulled a meteor struck my house, can't play for a few weeks card and hope that the issue would be resolved, but even then, I need to deal with a bully who got enabled by half the party. DM who clearly... Oh my gosh. Sorry. A DM who clearly didn't care about his players' fun and being scapegoated of something that frankly wasn't my fault. High stakes is absolutely limiting, and as the DM need to work really hard to keep the immersion, but that is no excuse for sidelining a player like that. Though to be honest, probably would still say no because of his obsession with keeping his players in the dark. It's more like it's almost midnight. The story is actually pretty good, to be honest. It's just pissing me off because there's so much stupid shit going on. Like, God, just talk to each other. Just actually communicate and then be a decent human being, and none of these problems would have probably come up. It's like the DM railroading the story. I think that's okay as long as you say to your players, hey guys, I'm going to kind of take control here a little bit of what's going to happen to you. I hope that's okay. I want to tell you a cool story. And if the player's like, sure, then you can go for it. If the player's like, no, I'd really prefer not to take control of my character, that's when you kind of like give the illusion of choice a lot of the time, and you have outcomes that are very likely to happen. But you can't just force players into doing it, right? Okay. Yes. DM who didn't really care about his players having fun at the scapegoat, something frankly wasn't my fault. High stakes is absolutely one thing, blah blah blah. Okay, I already said that stuff. Okay. So, to my eagle-eyed readers, you may have noticed that this section was dubbed That Guy's. Why? Well, a week after I left, Nova contacted me. He had been having some mental issues regarding his dad when I left, so I thought it'd be fun to catch up. He proceeded to tell me that I was the problem. That while I contributed to the session story, my bad habits ruined his fun. He claimed I wasn't punctual. I was late to one session. He claims I asked too many questions. I often abstain from asking questions out of fear of getting attacked. Asking too many questions is not an issue, and so on. When I brought up Morty's behavior, this same person who was bullied and or abused in his past told me that's just the way he is. Yes, let's just let the bully get away with bullying because that's just the way he is. Are you kidding me? Yeah, back to Morty, dude. Morty's just a bully. That's just how he is. That's some bullshit. Alright, now his criticisms aside, from the blatant enabling would be fair if he told me not before I left the game, especially when I asked for feedback as a player on multiple occasions and got nothing from this two-faced hypocrite. We played hours of Guilty Gear, and this enabler didn't bother to bring up any of these things. Okay, not to mention how we all worked together to get his earlier PC killed without question. If you're reading this, Nova, I only have 4 regrets regarding how this ended. 1, I didn't leave sooner. 2, I didn't tell Morty to eat my ass. 3, I didn't call out the torture of my PC. 4, I abstained from telling the DM about our coup kill your PC. Him kicking you would have been positive considering how delusional you are. If you're reading this, Nova, you're the worst player I've ever had the displeasure of meeting. And while DM and Morty were bad, you're a snake. Imagine talking to people about your abuse. Only stand by it when it happens to another player. Looks like the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, you know, because the cycle of abuse goes round and round, right? I understand that people change. It's been 3 years, but damn, does this make my blood boil. Oh man. Got fucking blindsided by Nova. Holy shit. Alright, epilogue. So a year later, I contacted the DM and tried to vent my frustrations about the game. It was a year late, but I was finally learning what it was like to have a spine. While I have villainized this guy, he was open to what I had to say. He called Morty's behavior toxic. He apologized for the game not being for me. Gaslighting. It's not really gaslighting. I think his just style of DMing you didn't agree with, and you didn't realize that until it was already like 3/4 of the way done, and you should have probably realized it way earlier on when they were first red flag. And that Morty is getting better. However, he also told me how Morty had demons, about how this game meant so much to him, and so on. My favorite quote was, just because he has demons doesn't give him the right to act like one. However, when I brought up my criticisms with him, he didn't hear it, and I didn't have the courage to follow through. My biggest mistake, however, was asking to rejoin the game. You can thank nostalgia for my blind stupidity. DM didn't refuse, but had his party, and the players wanted to keep it at 4. I had reconnected with Blade, and he didn't understand why. I do though. It's called a blessing. I imagine Morty and his butt buddy were against it, and voting me out was the nicest thing they ever did for me. Conclusion. 2 years later, I'm DMing Pathfinder 2e game. I don't find it fair for me to complain like this and not DM myself. I have an amazing group of players, and to make it a goal. See, you have an amazing group of players is like, you think they're amazing, but they're all probably like, this DM fucking sucks behind your back all the time. And I made it a goal not to make the same mistakes another DM did. I'm still learning the ins and outs of Encounter Balance, and I'm a fan of harder campaigns, courtesy of my first game as a player. Some of you might be wondering why I didn't leave sooner. Well, the DM introduced me to my obsession with fiends. I wanted to see my character's story unfold, and I want to be a good player. I fear that me leaving would be too extreme or didn't show that I was a bad sport. And I generally liked the people there. Played... What? You liked like one of these people? Played being the only person I like now. Okay. I see this is a classic case of bullying and why people don't retaliate sooner. And if anyone here is in a similar situation, please reach out to others. Had I not brought my concerns to my friends, I might have stayed there longer than I did. I want to believe that everyone involved has grown since then. I know I was visceral to them. They were all in our earlier 20s at the time. I wasn't perfect either, nor am I holding myself as if I didn't deserve the crap I dealt with, and there were a lot of things I could have done better. Though I do have to note for the DM, if so it happens to be reading this. Okay, so you just in one breath you say, I was really bad, but I don't deserve this. It's like, well, maybe you do. Maybe you did. So maybe you did deserve some of it. You like to talk about how your players love your game, how great they thought you were as a DM. I used to think you were great, and now I think you're the worst DM I've ever had. I've run through a lot of DMs in the past 3 years, from newbies struggling to learn to veterans who lived and died by the rules, and every one of them had an understanding that bullying for any reason was not acceptable for any reason, alleged or otherwise. You told me an amazing story and led some amazing encounters, and your game was for me, but you didn't want to rein in your friend, your ego, or your absurd expectations. So it wasn't for you then, because if it was for you, then all those things wouldn't have bothered you. And this is why you're the worst. I hope none of your future players have to deal with the crap that I did. Yeah, that's true. I think it's really dumb that you had to deal with this stuff, but like, and this is a little bit victim blamey, but like, you should have left, and you could have left, and you know you should have left a lot earlier than you did, and you suffered through it because you wanted to see your character go through the character thing. Like, write a book. Write a book if you want your character to go through that stuff. Just write a book. You don't have to have somebody else do it. You make it up yourself. P.S. Do you think I should confront the DM again? No, just fucking ignore him. I feel like things are left up unsaid. Just leave it. Just leave him alone. Stop bothering the guy. The more that you bother him, the more you think you're getting it off your chest, the more you're just making it seem like you're an even bigger asshole, even though you're not really, but the more you're making it seem that way. Frankly, I just want an excuse to tear into him. See? Now you're being a bully. Cycle is repeating, right? Namely, if he pulls this enabling shit again, I don't think I can comfortably talk to Nova though, at least without going off. Thanks. I have so many thoughts on this. But that's where we're going to leave it, guys.